welcome to the FoodTaku podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm actually here with a very special guest. This is Onigiri with my fellow co-host, Emily. And today we're going to be picking Giri's brain just a little bit about really what it takes to be the #1 food VTuber on Twitch. Is that accurate, Giri? Is that a close thing to say right now?
The #1. Whoa! I was not expecting that kind of intro for my name. I was like, oh,
Let's
there's Giri,
go.
the streamer. You know, #1 food VTuber. No. Well, I guess I guess food VTuber. Literally, probably yes, but on stream, no, not even close. Am I the first?
I have to say, like, everything has been super impressive. I think we connected maybe 6-7 months ago, and I was like, how is this even possible? And then I looked into it, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
I remember your rise to fame, and I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking to myself, like, this is weird. How can anyone be a VTuber and a cook at the same time? Because honestly, it's kind of a dream job, like, if I'm being honest. And to see you like grow so much in popularity has just been so amazing. I will never forget, I was at a Christmas party last year, and I was talking with some people that I know in town. We were just like, oh yeah, have you heard about this food VTuber? She makes food. It's like really impressive. Like, she's come so far. And I was like, oh, other people are talking about her. People know her.
Stop.
Yeah, no, you should be proud. Like, straight up, you should be proud. Like, you're a very big part of this community. And I think what's really cool is you've kind of led the charge in doing things that other VTubers don't do. Right? Like, from what I've seen, I don't follow the VTuber scene very much, but as Emily knows, we were at Anime Expo. VTubers were like, they took over
everywhere.
All of Anime Expo.
We're everywhere
literally
now,
like on the street of LA, there were the big like blown up like dolls of VTuber models. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, what year is this? Right?
Yeah.
It felt
VTuber take
so
over. Let's
strange.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
And
it feels like anime in real life, if I'm kind of being honest. Like, I was watching Edge Runner, Cyberpunk?
Yeah,
Edge
Cyberpunk.
Runner? And I was just like, wow, we're coming closer and closer to this future where like virtual technology is like a real thing, and we use it in our everyday lives.
I love that though. But what has your thought process been in the past, like, let's say 6-7 months? Because I know you've been grinding for a while. And for those of you who don't know, Onigiri does have a cooking stream primarily on Twitch, but you do other stuff. I pop in your streams every now and then. But the big thing that you do is you do the cooking stream. So what was your thought process when you decided to like start as a VTuber cooking stream?
For me, it's just more so, I'm not much of a gamer. Unfortunately, I didn't really grow up playing games too much, and I was more of a homebody more than anything. So when I started being a streamer, I'm like, oh crap. Well, if I can't game and no one's going to want to watch me, well, what do I have going for me? I can't sing. I can't draw. I don't have any of the talents that a VTuber should have as a person with like no IRL face, you know? So I was like, wait, but I can cook. And for me, cooking content has always captivated me, whether VTubers choose to do hand cams, even like top down shots and stuff like that. I've always wanted to tune into streams when they were doing things like that. So I was like, well, I can do that, but I don't want to be the same as everyone else. I want it to be different. I want it to be immersive. I want it to be something new and interesting, that's uniquely mine. So I mean, I did get help. I didn't really do this all by myself. You know, I do have a tech wizard behind me, so and he was able to help me a lot. Yeah, Oni bro. He was able to help me a lot, and essentially made my dreams come true, really. So my passion has always been cooking, and now I get to cook with my chat and see new people come in all the time, and it's been really great for me so far.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's such a cool like story, because it's you know, it's like you and your brother are basically like taking on this very new endeavor. And I think what's interesting is, like you said, you didn't want to really show your face, and I try to think of other food creators that don't do that, right? There are quite a few on YouTube where you'll see like the ASMR creators who just have like their hands in the shot and everything, but I think there's something very different and something really cool to be said about like having a VTuber like avatar doing this stuff, versus you could have totally just done a cooking thing where it's just your hands, but this kind of like places you in a realm of like all these other really cool VTubers, but in a very like niche way.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I like was so attracted to it.
What has been the reaction? Have you had a lot of people talk about that or comment on it, or I think people are generally positive to it, but has anyone said anything interesting or different about it?
No, I haven't had. Actually, fortunately, I haven't had any negative comments. Not that I'm aware, but I don't think anyone has said anything bad about it. But the most common comment that I would get when people pop into the stream was like, "Oh, magical hands," or like the streamer lingo is like, "Ooh, the booba hands." Maybe we cut that out if that's not allowed on YouTube. But it's like, "Oh, the booba hands," because the way that the layers are organized, it kind of looks like my real hands are sticking out of my assets, my booba. So they're like, why are you controlling those with the booba? But anyways, but those are like the usual comments that I get. But for the most part, everyone's like, whoa, that's so cool, or like, whoa, how'd you do that? And then I always see people in the chat kind of trying to like figure out the tech behind it. It's like, oh, what's the secret? What do you got there? And then and I'm pretty open with it, so I'm just like, oh, it's this and that and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, that's very cool, very very cool. And then originally people were in for the novelty of it, of course, and that was my goal too. That's how it's gonna. That was my plan to attract attention. But nowadays, it's just more of a just chatting stream than like a real cooking show kind of thing. I just happen to be cooking at the moment, but it's just me vibing with my chat, having fun, having conversation, and I'm just kind of cooking on the side.
That is so fun. I've done. Well, Paul, have you ever done a cooking stream before?
I have, and they are not my cup of tea. That's why, like, when I watch like cooking live streams, I have a lot of respect for the amount of effort that goes into it, because it's like there is a ton of effort that you have to lay out before you even get started, right? Like you have to make sure your ducks are in a row before you even like hit live. And I think for me, because of the way I'm currently operating, anytime I'm thinking about doing like a live stream for cooking, I'm like, nah, man, we're just going to film a video, because I'm so sporadic with my filming sessions. That's why, when I like see like a live stream that's cooking, it usually goes on for 3, 4, 5 hours, or like you have to pick very certain foods to cook, because like you're probably not going to bake a full cake or something and like, dress it all up in a single stream. But I can't do maybe for a special event coming up, but that's it.
I think they're so fun, and that's why I love what you do, Gary, because it is really fun to like cook and talk at the same time. It's really natural as a chef. When I'm having people over, I'm cooking, I'm hanging out in the kitchen, I'm talking with my friends, and I don't know, this might just be a me thing, but I get like a lot of kind of like not social anxiety, but sometimes I'm like a little awkward when people come over, and having something to do just makes me feel a lot more comfortable, and like cooking is that thing for me.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments sometimes where they're like, oh, it's really cool how you can read the chat, entertain, and still cook. But I'm just like, I don't think about it that way. I don't think of it as like a 3 portioned kind of a thing. For me, it's just like the talking and the cooking comes naturally. It's more so integrating chat or getting them involved. That's the difficult part, and I think that's a difficult part for all streamers, not just for me because I'm cooking. Like every streamer wants to care that there's chat engagement. So I think the cooking and the chatting part is actually not that complicated. And then I do like to do the segments weekly where I have friends on as well, and it's just more like they think it's more stressful for me, but I actually find it more relaxing, because like then I have another person sharing the entertainment load. But people are like, oh, you're gonna entertain your guests and entertain the chat. But I'm like, no, the chat, the guest is entertaining the chat. I'm entertaining the chat, and then I'm having conversation. Yeah, and then they're asking me questions too. It's not just a one-way street. It's not really like for my collab segments. It's not like it's not a podcast. It's not an interview. It's just literally my literal friends coming on, and then we just chat about some, like it could be something serious, it could be something really really silly. Every guest is different, every friend is different. And then I'm just like, no, I'm having fun, I'm vibing. It's not that hard work. Well, it's hard work, but it doesn't feel like hard work.
Which is interesting, because I've watched a couple of your collaboration streams, right? And I have to get it out of my head, because it's usually like 2 VTubers doing it. So I'm assuming that not a lot of the time they're actually there with you. They're kind of just teleporting in. And so you're right, like they can maybe like look at chat for you and ask questions and kind of like ping ideas off of you. And it's a super different dynamic that I like now that I think about it. And it's just something you can't really get if, like, let's say Emily and I were in like a live stream next to each other cooking, right? Where both of us are kind of working versus like maybe you have a guest on that's helping you like with the chat side of it. Because I always had a hard time paying attention to chat and like doing the live stream thing. I'm a very bad live streamer, like a gamer, because I'll just ignore chat for like 5 minutes as I'm like hyper focused on something, and I'm like, that nobody's here for that. So seeing it's interesting to see that like food or cooking is your way of just really almost, now that you say, like is a IRL stream, not IRL stream, but what is it? The just chatting almost.
Oh yeah,
but
just
with
chatting
food.
is a category. Yeah.
Right. But just with food, that it's all like very over my head. I feel so old. I'm like, what are all these newfound gadgets?
I think you just need to practice with it, Paul, and you could be so good at it because you're such a good conversationalist, and it's really fun. And like someone that comes to mind is Malin, gourmet Malin.
Oh, gourmet.
She started just for fun. As far as I know, she started to just like prove that she could do it, and she's gotten really, really good at it, and has had a lot of fun with it. And it just takes practice to go in and put the time in every week.
I don't know. Maybe
streams.
maybe I'll just like join one of your
right.
guys' live streams at some point and just do that instead.
Yeah.
But
Be a guest.
Okay.
Hey, it's
so I
not
guess
for everyone. It's not for
no,
everyone.
it's not. Like you have to have a very certain skill to live stream, and I think that I couldn't do it. So that's why I have a lot of respect for live streamers who do it like literally every day. There's a huge grind mindset to that, and so that's why it's always like, oh my god, like just so many
That's
props.
true.
But
dude, you're like the king of grind mindset. You work so hard.
No. This isn't about my mindset. This is about how Geary got started, which I guess we kind of went over that. That was one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, is how you did all that, because you just wanted to essentially share your cooking experiences, if I'm not mistaken, but also in a way that you were most comfortable with. So that's kind of how like the VTuber thing came about. What I really am curious about is the difficulty of like VTuber cooking in particular, right? Like what are some of the, because maybe there's someone listening to this who would love to do something like that, maybe a VTuber in real life, or maybe VTuber wood shop. I don't know what it might be, right? Like what are the difficulties of kind of doing that day in and day out? Because if I'm not mistaken, you stream probably 4 or 5 days a week, or if not more, right?
I feel like the hardest part of VTubing cooking specifically is the tech behind it. It's not the ingredients, it's not getting your recipe together or whatever, talking with chat. That all comes naturally or with practice, like Emily said. But the tech part is actually quite tricky. Like I said, it was actually Onibro, the one that was able to kind of get the tech together for me. I'm very, very boomer brain, very not savvy with tech. Okay, I literally computer PC on. I expect everything to work. The moment it doesn't work, I start whining. So that's very much my personality and mentality. So I'm very lucky that I do have a helper there with me. But it does require quite a few things to kind of make it work and make the layering and the illusion kind of make sense. So I would say if you have the monetary means, then that would be the first hurdle. Obviously, you can maybe just get a webcam instead of a big old fancy DSLR and just turn all your lights on in your room instead of getting studio lights. But the more investment you make, the better outcome will show on the actual stream, because there are very small details that it's very, very easy to overlook until you try it for yourself, or to try to do the setup yourself. And then also, like, how are you supposed to plug everything into your computer? Are you monitoring on a laptop? Are you doing this, doing that? How big is your space, and things like that? Are you doing it from your actual kitchen? Are you doing it from like a setup, like kind of like mine, where it's more of a specific cooking set for stream? It's not my IRL kitchen. There's a lot of things a lot of factors that you need to think about that people might not realize until they try it for themselves. So I think the biggest hurdle is the tech and not so much the actual cooking aspect of the stream.
Because
that makes
I
a lot
know,
of sense.
yeah, and Emily, you probably know this too, but like from a YouTube like thought process, I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to start doing YouTube, grab your cell phone, because you probably have like an iPhone 13 or something, and it probably records killer video, get like $100 mic, you know, and you can go to town and make great content. Whereas on this side of it, it's like you said, you can start small, but the changes can be huge as you like start to I guess up your game a little bit. And I have looked into it because I was like, oh, I would love to start doing like a VTuber Beat Saber channel. Right?
Oh yeah.
I love Beat Saber, right? But I was like, it'd be dope to do that. And just a rig like with like the avatar could be thousands of dollars, you know? And that's you're talking about an investment that might not give you any money back, right? Where so when you started, did you decide you're like, no, I have to have a full, I guess, rigged model? Is that something that came to mind when you wanted to start?
I've always wanted a full rigged model. That was always the goal when I first started, but I did not have one in the very beginning because I'm quite prudent with money, so I'm just like I will. Let's see if I like it first. And this is a lot of questions I get from my chat as well. Like, oh, what's your advice on just starting to stream as a VTuber? You know, I'm just like, just stream. Don't even stream as a VTuber. Stream with no cam if you're uncomfortable with showing your face, you know? Just see if you like it first. So for me, I did a PNG. So I got a $20 commission. I had a vague idea of what I wanted my potential OC to look like. And then I asked an artist for $20, draw me a cute little chibi. And I connected it to my Discord. So you have the Discord reactive thing. It lights up when you speak and it dims down when you don't speak. And I just streamed. I didn't stream cooking back in the day. It was just all gaming, just to practice talking to nobody, basically. And then that turned out to do okay. And then like, okay. So I got a little bit of a sub money in my Twitch payout now. Okay. So then then I went to find like a reasonably priced like rigger and artist to do my V1 is what it's called, the version 1 of my model. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. So the goal was always to have a model, of course, because I feel like for the most part, I don't know if it's technically you're not a VTuber if you don't have a model. I mean, nowadays PNG, 3D avatars, whatever, we all count as VTubers. But my end goal was always to have a model, but you don't have to have one on day one. Not necessary
so
whatsoever.
It was like it was more of a creative choice for you at that point.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I think that's a great advice for anyone in any kind of field. And this is like advice that I got early on. Like, if you can't put in the time to just show up and do the work every day without all of the accessories and stuff, having those things is not going to make a difference for you. You have to really enjoy what you're doing and like it. So I think I would say the same thing to anyone else. Like, try it for a week before you start buying anything, because you'll figure out pretty quickly if you really want to put your time and effort into it.
Yeah, I think you kind of spoke on this too, Gary, is like you don't necessarily need all of the tech to get started, but I think with tech, it becomes more of a creative choice, right? Like, I use 3 cameras to film cooking content. Do you need 3 cameras? No. But like creatively, I like the way certain shots look, and I like that I can do different fun things with it. And I guess it's kind of the same way where when you mentioned that you have your cooking setup for your stream is not your IRL kitchen, whereas like my setup is just my home kitchen. But it makes sense to me because it's like, how do you set up, you know, the lighting where you need it? How do you set up maybe like your I don't even know what to call it, like your magic, you know, VTuber avatar? Like how do you how do you set that up in an IRL setting that doesn't feel like it gets in the way? That's kind of where it I think some of the investment would eventually come in. But I think that what's interesting is that anyone can VTube, right? Or technically you can get a PNG, like you said, made, and anyone can go to town and play some Rocket League or something like that. And they never have to do a face reveal. I mean, even if we look at in the YouTube space, you look at Dream, who has a Minecraft channel, he has like whatever 30 million subscribers or something like that. He's one of the most popular channels to ever exist, and he's never shown his face, right? Like this is now like a real, this is a reality we live in. And I think it's really awesome because your stream may not have existed had it not been for this tech. And I think that's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah. With all of that said, I just have a question. I have a question for everybody, but I think onigiri first, maybe. Okay, so cooking on stream with a VTubing model is difficult. It poses its own challenges. But what is your favorite thing to make on stream, and or what is the hardest thing you've had to make because of the setup, maybe like getting in the way or interfering with what you're trying to do?
My favorite thing, I actually don't really have like a favorite because every single stream I make something different. I have never made any repeats so far since streaming for a year. Yeah, I think every single stream I've made something unique, whether with a guest or by myself. But I'm pretty flexible because my hobby is desserts. But for the most part, when I stream savory.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you like desserts?
I love baking.
I have a cookbook coming out, an anime desserts cookbook. It should be out in a month and a half. So
exciting!
I'll send you
Congrats! Oh, congrats!
Yeah.
Thank you.
no, thank you. Oh my god, I'm excited to share it with everyone. But yeah, okay, desserts. What are your favorite desserts to make?
I like to make chiffon cakes and like madeleines or like shotokeki, like in Japanese, like the ichigo shotokeki. That's like my number one favorite cake that I like to make for like friends and family, and it's impressive looking, but it's not very hard, not very technically difficult. But I prefer like, because I'm Asian, I prefer the quote-unquote not so sweet dessert, you know? So for shortcakes, madeleines, a lot of these like tiramisu or like pudding and stuff, you can kind of adjust the sugar and whatever. But I don't actually make desserts too much on stream just because I think to please the general crowd, people tend to gravitate more towards savory than sweet. People have like, oh, I love a pot roast. It reminds me of a weekend, but no one's gonna be like, oh, I love a shortcake. It reminds me of what? I don't know. You know, kind of thing.
Except for me, I love desserts, and it's so funny that you say that because in the cookbook coming out, I have a whole like a little essay at the front where I talk about strawberry shortcake and how that like influenced me towards desserts and anime. But also I feel like just from a technical perspective, baking is harder to do on a stream, right?
There's a lot of waiting, a lot of mixing.
I wonder like if you could do, this is just like a thought, right? Because you do like doing desserts. Can't you do, like Food Network style where like, oh, when we
TV
pure it
magic?
in the oven and then just pull out
I have
like
done
right.
that.
Okay.
I have.
Because I like as a are you YouTuber, right? Like as a YouTuber, I have the luxury of like popping something in the oven and turning off the camera and then going upstairs and like editing footage that I need. Whereas on stream, you can't just be like, all right, guys, I'll be back in an hour. Like you just can't do that, right?
Yeah. No,
have you tried to like think of doing stuff like that?
I have definitely, see, that is the one reason why I don't do baking too often. Because last Halloween, I did a cake from scratch. So decorating, I was doing before streaming. Like I had a passion for cake decorating, where those like piping flowers. Like the bean paste flowers that was trending in Korea for a long time. I got really good at that.
Why are we the same person? Oh my god, dude, same.
I got really good at it, and then I used to make like birthday cakes for all my friends and family. So that streaming, I was like, maybe I can show off that kind of talent, maybe. So for Halloween, I did like I used marshmallow to make spider webs. I used chocolate to I draw like spiders and stuff, and then I have like little roses to make it kind of like gothic and whatever, like purple and black roses. And I pre-made the cake the night before. I had it resting in my fridge, so it was ready to go. But I still made the cake on the day of as well, so people know the process. But I just feel like it's not too worth. It's the hard work is not super worth it, just because again people aren't super into the dessert stuff in general, so they're just like, oh cool, you produced a cake, oh look, there goes some flowers. So it's like
and I think I can kind of relate to that, because what it really comes down to is like if people are watching like a stream, they're usually just trying to be entertained, right? So maybe when you're doing something savory, it's not as labor intensive, so you can pay attention to chat more, but also as a viewer, if you make like a stir fry or something like that, I can be like, okay, cool, maybe I can make that. Yeah. Whereas if you're decorating a cake, you're like, do I really want to go through the process?
It's so skill oriented. Like it's hard. It's harder to do.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of what I've personally seen is the higher the skill level of either the thing you're making on stream or like for a video, the less it seems like there's engagement from the community, because they enjoy watching you do the thing, but they're not going to go and do that thing.
Right.
And it kind of translates that way. So it's an interesting take to say that like you very much love dessert, but you don't want to do them on stream. But I totally get it. Like that makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
The exception is Valentine's Day, I guess. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make chocolate for Chad, you know. And then they're actually excited because it's on theme, it's on brand, you know.
That's true.
But even
That's true.
that is like you're just typically like melting chocolate and like putting it in a mold, and then so it's there's like a sense of movement to it that doesn't always exist with baking. Like cooking, there is like a process, everyone can see where you're going. Baking and decorating is just it's like very artistic in a way, and so sometimes it's like hard watching people be like painters paint or whatever. You're just like, okay,
yeah, you know, like you're watching a Bob Ross stream so you could fall asleep properly, like, you know, just chilling out.
Yeah.
I think it's
so true.
I think it's the same with baking. Like my mother-in-law, she's a professional cake artist. Like she's been teaching cake decorating for like 25 years. She literally travels around the world and teaches cake decorating.
Wow.
Come to teach me.
Yeah,
Right,
does she want to come to Canada?
Yeah,
I mean, she was actually, she was just in like Vegas teaching at like an international cake show and doing all this stuff. Like,
That's that's like so legit. That's so
cool.
Like maybe I can get her to be like, hey, you want to come to Japan for a couple of days
Your
when I come out in
mother-in-law's
March?
cooler than you. What are you doing here,
Yeah.
Paul? Get her on the
How does
show.
that
I don't want to
feel?
talk to you
Yeah.
no more.
Please,
Get the lady on the
please.
show.
Yeah, she like they just won like I think it was last year in Milan, Italy. They won like best cake in the world or something like that. It's
wow.
crazy. But like
Wow.
yeah, like I see the effort that goes into that, and I'm like, no. There's no way. There's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for like the choice to not do stuff like that on stream, but also that it's more of a hobby for you. Like maybe it's like where you turn everything off and you're like, this is for me, and I'm just gonna bake cookies or make, like you said, madeleines, or just make some damn pudding, you know, and just enjoy it for yourself. So that's really cool. I guess kind of on that, like of the topic of like the things you enjoy like on and off stream, is what was your like relationship with food growing up? Right, because I think we all had like this is like that deep question, right? What was that for you?
I've been very fortunate. I've had a very healthy relationship with food. I've never seen it as something that I need to restrain myself from, or like overindulge from. My background is Chinese, and I was born in China. Even growing up after immigrating to Canada, very humble household. My parents have saved money. They know how to cook. You know the meme where like, oh, why buy sandwich outside when sandwich at home, and my mom just slaps some shit together, you know, and that's my sandwich. But that's the very Asian mentality, and that's what I grew up with. So both parents cooked every single meal, home cooked.
Nice.
6 p.m. sharp, we eat dinner, you know, and then I wash the dishes. That's my job. Things like that. But my mom was never she never shunned me from the kitchen, but I never was always super proactively there either. So whenever I did show interest and go like, oh, how'd you make that rice today? Or like, oh, the tomato stir fried with egg is really yummy. What'd you do today? You know? And my mom would just teach me, but she would never force me. And she would, one time I remember really vividly that she wanted to make cupcakes for church. And I was like, she asked me to help, and I was like, sure. And then I'm like, what do I do? She's like, I can just read the box. And then I read the box, I made the cupcake. It turned out and quote unquote amazing as far as box mix goes.
Box cakes are good.
It turned out really good.
They have their place.
Yeah, and then my mom was like, "You did a really good job." And as an Asian parent, you never get praise, never, never. And I was like 10 or something. And for the first 10 years of my life, for the very first time, my mom was like, "This is good," and I was like. I cry.
You're like, I'm
Tears
good.
in my
I've
heart.
won at life. Yeah,
That
I'm
is
10 years old and
that's-
I've already won at life.
It's so heartwarming. Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of how I awakened my love for baking, but I never really ramped up until I would say like university and stuff, where you're dependent now. And then obviously pre-COVID, when I'm just like, I'm making
Like
money,
stress
but
baking?
yeah, and like I'm making money, but do I really want to spend money on McDonald's every single day and eating out? You know, it's time to be an adult, Geary. You know, you got this. So I started cooking, and then coincidentally, COVID hit, so you can't go out physically anymore anyways, and that's when I really started to bunker down and bake like my ass off and cook my ass off, and then the streaming kind of happened right after that.
So did the streaming happen during, like, was it during COVID that you started? Like 2020, I guess?
Oh, wow.
It was just last year, so 2021.
2021.
August of last year.
Oh
Okay.
wow. So like
Dang.
it's kind of wild to think of the trajectory, right? Because I'm kind of an analytics geek and I look at all this stuff and I think, holy crap, like from August, what month is it? It's September, so a little over a year. Like to see where you're at has been nothing short of pretty amazing,
Impressive.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
Thank you.
Like and I know that we all think of this because I think we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome, like we were kind of talking
Oh,
about
yes.
earlier before before we started recording.
Yeah.
And like to see that kind of just explode for you, and I personally think it's because like for me it's the cooking thing, right? I actually don't watch a lot of VTubers. I know of them, like I know of Hachima-chan, right? Like I know that, like the memes or Reddit, whatever surrounding it, but I don't know anything of the community. And so like when I saw that you were doing cooking streams, I was like, this is different. That's cool. And so it's just wild to think it's only been a little over a year. I'm still like kind of shocked by like
Damn.
the growth, right? That's really cool.
I'm shocked that you don't simp for a VTuber. Man, like everyone has a fave.
I don't know. It would be weird to simp for Giri because she's like, we're just like texting every day, so I can't simp for
See,
her. I gotta
we
go
don't,
find.
we don't use the word simp here. We like use Oshi. Am I your Oshi, Paul?
Sure.
Am
I don't
your
know. I don't know what that means.
Oshi just means like your utmost favorite VTuber. Like there's a
Perfect.
difference
We'll do
between
the-
like
we'll-
simping and then like an
Yes.
Oshi, you know.
Okay, we'll do that. It's probably lingo that is too much for my old boomer brain to understand. Like that's kind of what that vibe
To
is.
stay up to date on. I will
Yeah.
say, as a side note, that is like one of the benefits of teaching like full time. I teach in a high school, and actually, no, my students are out of touch with culture and reality, so I take all that back. They don't teach me. Joe is giving me the thumbs up because he knows. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. It's just who they are. They're very private people, but that's fine. Yeah, but you got to keep up with that lingo, man. You got to know
Yeah.
what the people are saying.
Yeah.
I think there's a very different culture on every platform, right? Like the Twitch platform has its own culture in chat. YouTube has its own culture in the comments and the viewer behavior. Twitter, Instagram, like all of them have their own cultures. I remember, this is going to be an interesting question, Gary. I remember when we were DMing on Discord about like the cooking collab we did, and you sent like some like pog face gif. I don't even know what it was. I was like, I don't know what that means. I was like, I have no idea what that means. And you were kind of like elaborating, and how, as you know, someone who may have not been growing up with this generation, how was that to like acclimate to, right? Like
Oh.
to really like get into that.
Oh, it's
that
been
culture.
really fun because
Okay.
I've kind of branded myself as a boomer now. Everyone knows. I have been
You're not a
lovingly.
boomer. Get outta here.
I have been quote unquote lovingly referred to as Lola Giri, which is just like Filipino for Grandma Giri. They call me Gram Gram. They call me Granny Giri, old hag. You know.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So I've kind of made that my brand or my style, where it's like, oh, well, there goes Gary not knowing anything again. And sometimes I just really don't. So Chad has been very eager and willing to kind of teach me the lingo. I literally didn't know what Pog was until after I started streaming, and then everything else came after that, like out of pocket, Keck W, or like Keck point,
no
or
one,
like,
right?
like it's just so many things. Like I'm still learning to this day, like new
Yeah.
lingo, and it's funny. I love the chat engagement with that comes along with it as well, and
Yeah,
chat kind of
yeah,
things
yeah.
are entertaining, and it's not like I'm acting. I'm not pretending to be a different person. I just really don't know sometimes, and people just think the contrast between a boomer streamer and maybe a streamer that's more in it, the contrast is kind of different as well. And then a lot of my friends are younger than me, so it's just kind of the dynamic is different, and the way that I speak is different. The way that I think is a little bit different sometimes compared to my peers. So I don't know. I think for me, it's worked out. No, I haven't gotten any hate. We're like, oh, what's wrong with her? She doesn't know shit, you know. no one's ever said that.
But I think
I
it's
think it would be
it's
crazy
like,
if people
yeah.
did that, though. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
I think because if you just embrace it, like you said, and you just like, oh, what does that mean? More often than not, people are just going to say, oh, it's just this.
yeah.
Right?
People
Like
just
Keck
want
W,
you to
I
be
didn't know what that
authentic.
was
Yeah.
until I played World of Warcraft, and I realized it was just like orcish speak for like lol, right? Like literally it's LOL. You know, I didn't know that. It's like stupid things like Pog, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, those are like the little circular discs made of cardboard that you would
Yeah,
slam
that's what
down.
I thought. I was like, why are we
Right.
playing Pog? Why are we
I'm like,
playing
no one
Pog in
has
the chat? Like,
Pogs.
what's happening?
Right.
I thought it was
I'm
literal
like,
Pogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Why does that mean play of the game? I don't know, right? The one of them. Okay, so this one gets me. I'm an old school MMO player, right? Like I grew up playing EverQuest 1. That was like my jam, right? Like I am old as hell. And I like, okay, so I just said LFG. What does LFG mean to you guys?
Let's
LFG?
freaking go.
Right. Okay. So to me, it's looking for group.
Oh.
So when I would see people get excited in like a YouTube comment section, they would type in LFG, and I'm like, for what?
Look,
What do you-
yeah, where are we going?
For what?
Where are we
What
going?
group are you
I
talking
literally
about?
it just
Where?
it,
Matcha?
yeah, and I'm
Matcha?
like sometimes the lingo just goes like flies over my head,
Uh-huh.
but you're seeing it like real time.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you're like, oh, what does that mean? Okay, cool. Let's roll with it, and that's a skill in and of itself, I think, at that point.
Well, I think that's the really fun thing about streaming and having that chat connection is community becomes so important, and you get a chance to talk to other people and learn from other people and open yourself up to different experiences and different, cultures and different languages and chats and stuff like that. And I think that is like the beauty of it and what's really fun. And I think that's what makes a really good streamer good, is someone who's just like eager to listen to their chat and learn from them and have fun with them, and doesn't come in with like pretentiousness of like I'm better than you kind of thing.
Yeah,
The-
like,
the
I'm the
holier than
streamer.
thou
You're
kind of
just the
thing.
viewer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of something that we've seen, or I guess I've seen in your chat, because I don't know if you've seen many of your streams, but it's like there is a culture within your chat that exists really only within your chat,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a very interesting thing to witness, because like chat, I don't stream. Maybe you can clarify for me, but like chat is its own entity, right? Like, so the way I see it is like hive mind, right? Like it's a bunch of like birds or whatever that are controlled by one master like thought process,
One
and they
master
come
person.
together and they're
Yes.
just like the chat.
Yes.
Do you see, like, if you rated someone right with like 2,000 people, like does that carry over? Like, have you created a subculture of people like
Oh,
that
no,
are like
see,
Geary's chat?
So my, I don't want to say this is specific to my chat, but the general etiquette is every streamer's chat is a different hive mind. So normally, depending on who I rate, if I know that, for example, they're like say-so content or they're very friendly, I would give them a warning. I'm like, okay, chat, behave now. Okay, I don't want to see no swear words. I don't want to see no disses up in her chat. Okay, you got to behave. You're representing me right now. And then
I like that.
everyone knows, like all of the chat and the viewers, there is this like silent understanding that every hive mind is different. So they might raid and go like, "Oh my god, look, guess what?" Usually when you raid, they're like, "Oh my god, what'd you do today? Thanks for the raid, Geary." And the chat will be, "Oh my god, Geary burned the rice. She didn't wash the rice." They make fun of me at my expense, but that's totally fine. But once like they're assimilated into the next streamer's chat, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they just like kind of ask, "Oh, what are you doing here? What's the game? Do you need help? Is backseating allowed? I hope you're having a great day." Everyone just calms right down, and then they
That's cool.
take on the new hive minds, which is really great.
Yeah.
That's what I really love about Twitch chat, where they have an understanding of how to act, and if you don't know how to act, ask, and things like that. Yeah.
That's so cool. As someone that I don't really watch a whole lot of streams either, but I've been really preoccupied lately with the collapse of society and like communities in general, which I realize is intense. But you're giving me hope is what I'm getting from this. I'm like, that's really like lovely to hear that there's just a group of people that come together and they want to go have fun, and then they all know how to act and how to be responsible and kind and nice to other people, and then they kind of share that with other people, and that is a beautiful thing, and my hope in humanity is restored for today.
I think it's something to be said about maybe I don't want to discredit any younger creators, right? Because it's really up to the creator to foster that, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time when people are trying to be part of your community, they relate to you, right? Or maybe they're there for the ride or whatever it is. And you see this happen on YouTube, you see it happen on Twitch, but it's like, as a creator, you you should foster that kind of an environment, right? Where you're like, all right, guys, we're going to go visit another streamer. Like, I don't want to see anybody acting up, you know, because I will ban you, like whatever, right? Whatever the repercussion is, like, don't disappoint me. Don't disappoint Senpai. And that's kind of like when I've seen that in your chat where like, okay, we're getting a little out of hand. You'll see chat like calm down a little bit. I've actually seen it in real time. Like, this is kind of funny. But it's good to see. And I think we need more of that, right? I'm not in the streamer community. I'm not very familiar with it, but I have seen it on YouTube with various channels who maybe do different things or whatever. And like, they have their own communities, their communities act certain ways. And I'm like, I personally feel like we need more of that, like just putting more good back out there as much as possible. So it's really interesting to see like your chat versus, I don't know, anybody else's, maybe if we're just like a gaming channel or something like that.
It varies a lot. Like I've definitely have seen some of my friends unfortunately get hate rated due to competing in certain game competitions, and then she would still get like people from his chat coming into her chat like few days after the competition is over already, just to tell her that she shouldn't have won and stuff. Wow. And she's like, wait, like, are you serious? Like 3 days after the fact? Like, and like, I'll spare details and whatever, but it's definitely, not all the time where you get a nice chat. Sometimes, depending on the streamer, you do have a little bit of a toxic community. Sometimes it can happen, and then those toxic communities kind of travel and stuff. But fortunately, I feel like for VTubers, at the very least, for the most part, our viewers are very kind, very respectful. They may not be as kind to me, but that's within the stream community that I have, you know, which is totally fine. But yeah, it's different. I feel like VTuber community, IRL streamer community, gaming community, just chatting community, they're all very different a little bit.
Yeah. That's so
I
cool.
I think what I've seen on your side is in chat, it almost reminds me of working on a kitchen line where it's like the jibs and the jabs aren't malicious, but it's like you're talking crap to the guy next to you and you're in the shit and you have like tickets hitting the floor from the machine and you're talking crap to each other, you know, and it's because like I've seen it both ways where like you'll talk to somebody, be like you'll talk a little bit of crap to them and then, you know, back and forth and you just ha 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 and you laugh about it. And that's really cool to me, where you can't find that a lot because maybe somebody takes it the wrong way or whatever, but it's like hopefully everybody knows that it's just supposed to be lighthearted.
Yeah.
Cause you don't want to get bullied all the time. Like Chad's
I get bullied all the time.
I know. I'm gonna pop into your chat every now and then and be like, all right, listen up. Okay, so I do have, I kind of want to take this. We've kind of talked like a lot about just like streaming in general, right? But with streaming, and you've only been doing this for a year, but I know you're a very busy bee. You've been doing a lot, and where do you see? I literally have this as one of my questions. Where do you see yourself taking? And I'm going to make this very specific: the Giri Mart brand in the future, right? Because like to me, that's the thing. The Giri Mart.
Yeah, there's so much potential
there. Where do you see like this thing going?
Ideally, I would like to have my own kitchen line. I don't know if that's too grand of a dream.
No, hell no. Babish has
one.
I would be like the first VTuber to not have merch, just there's a hoodie, there's a hat. They're great, by the way. I support my friends. I have tons of hoodies and hats and stuff. But I want to be different, just like how I want to be different with my streaming. I want to have like my own knife, my own cutting board, an apron, a cookbook, like all like a pan, spatulas, like all these things. I think that would be really, really cool. And I feel like it's more easier to swallow pill for the streaming community or maybe like VTuber lovers and stuff like that. Whereas like, I don't really know what's a zwilling. I don't know what a zwilling is, but I know Onimart. So then maybe they'll want to like try things out, or maybe they're like, I'll buy her like cutting board. Maybe I'll chop a salad someday, you know. But I think it's kind of a cool concept where I have like kitchen merch and not just like clothing.
I love that idea. Yeah.
It's like the Rosanna Pansinoification of your brand, basically, because that's what she did. Went from YouTube food videos, and now she works like with like Wilton. She has her own line and stuff like that.
She has her own line. She does like stuff on Netflix now and like
Food
everything
Network.
like that. Yeah. And what's interesting is when you mention like a line like that, like I look at your, I think this is your summertime suit, right? Your summertime avatar. I think of how fun like a line could be of cookware that is based off of like the colors that you use, right? Like the purple hair, the gold horns, like you can do fun things with the colors, and it's like a spatula that has like a, you know, a gold handle or so, I don't know, whatever it is. And it makes it so unique where you're like, you're reaching for a knife and you're like, oh, this is a Gary Mart knife, right? But maybe it's like extra high quality because you worked with a cool knife manufacturer. And there's something to be said about like trying to break into the creator merch market that is in a different direction than the normal stuff.
And I love it when creators do that. There is another creator, Mikey from Glam and Gore, who a couple of years ago, she's like a beauty YouTuber, kind of. She does like glam and like gore SFX and that kind of thing. She's with Anthony Padilla. I think they're a couple. And so she put out a line of wigs, actually. And I remember being shocked when she did that because everyone else was putting out makeup palettes, and she's like, I'm actually just really interested in wigs, and I wear them all the time, and I want you guys to have nice, high-quality wigs. And it was so cool, and, you know, obviously kind of a smaller run than, like, the typical t-shirt thing, but it was just such a unique thing. I've never forgotten that, and so any opportunity to do something cool like that, I think you should always go for it, even if it's, like, a small run or a limited number.
But I think you would also, like, just from the business side of it, I think if you had your own kitchen line, you kind of corner the market in that VTuber space. Because I don't know of any other VTuber that would attempt that or that could do that right now anyways. Like, I don't know of any other kitchen or cooking VTubers. So that's a very, like, what about, this is hard, right? Because of the nature of VTubers, this is something that's always popped in my head. We've seen, I think it was at Anime Expo. I think it was maybe Connor did a live event with Iron Mouse, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right, where she was like on a screen, and they were interviewing and stuff. I'm like, how do you introduce that vibe with someone like you who does food content? Would you like get like a custom made like Geary mask? Would that be like, you know, like too weird? I don't know how that would work.
That would be hard.
Because then yes, you have your kitchen line, but what if you do like a cooking event, you know, to promote it somehow? Like, yes, you could do it on stream, but like, have you ever thought about that? Like, how would you do that at like a live setting?
I have done a few anime panels already. It wasn't an anime con or anything, but I was assigned to kind of talk about my quote-unquote AR cooking setup for VTubers. And I did a little demonstration. I talked a little bit about the tech needed and a little bit of the background behind it. And I just did a little showcase up behind my setup, and that was kind of what I did. So, I mean, if I were to do a live demonstration, I might be able to just do the same thing where it's not like live as in I'm on the stage, but I'm still with them in real time. I can see the audience. They can ask me questions. I can just use my line behind my own camera and then kind of like showcase things here and there potentially.
That's smart, because I almost think that doing something like actually physically in person kind of, it takes away from the virtual, like the
from
fun
the magic.
My immersion, streamer, where's my immersion?
It kind of breaks the fourth wall in a sense. And so I see what you're saying, Paul. Like, I think the technology isn't there yet, but if you could get the technology where you could, like, for example, be walking around in person and streaming, like recording as you are, and in the recording it like transmutes your body into
technically
VTuber.
You can. I think technically the tech is there, but it's very, very clunky and very like caveman-ish currently. Like I thought about, because I want to do IRL streams as well, but obviously I don't want to show my face. I just want to be like able to take chat along and walk. But you know, there's like the risk of like reflection, and maybe I want to showcase whatever I'm eating. I might have to turn the camera around. So I was like, maybe I can just go walk around with just a whole freaking Bluetooth and a blue suit, like my chroma key, my blue suit, and then like 3 cameras, like one is chat, one is capturing the outside, and one is hot spotting or something. But I'm gonna look like an idiot, right? So so is it possible? Yes, but is it gonna look really graceful? No, currently no.
Right. And the reason why I bring that up, like with you maybe promoting like a kitchen line or anything like that. The reason why I bring it up is because I watched that video of you doing like a food tour. I think it was in Toronto, right, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you kind of, you had, I think you just had like your avatar's face over yours, or it was pointed away or whatever it was. And I thought it was a great example of like what you could still do IRL, but the benefit is that it's a recorded YouTube video. So because of the nature of live stream, you don't want someone maybe who follows you, to like, oh, we know Giri is currently at this location.
Stream sniping,
we're gonna
right?
go,
Yeah.
right. We're going to go find her and take a picture of her and post it to the internet, because then that just kind of kills everything. So like, even if it weren't like a full on blue suit, have you thought about doing more IRL stuff where it's just recorded video for YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's also one of the reasons why I wanted to visit Japan and stuff, because Japan is the land of honey and wine, which is like food content.
It's like aesthetic everything. Yes.
Yes. Come here. Come join me.
Yeah.
Are you allowed? Are you allowed to talk about a little bit of that? Because I know you mentioned it previously.
I think not quite yet. I don't have official permission yet, so I think for now I'll keep it down low.
Secret. Well, in the future, if you get the chance, here we are. We've got all the wonders of the world here in Japan. There's so much to do here.
They're opening
I've
up
been
in
there
October.
once, loved it. I just dream pine. I literally have a suitcase ready to go that's labeled Japan. So just like as soon as borders open, I just fly away.
Take it and get out of here.
That's so good. Like, I think that's kind of. We're technically like an anime food podcast. We haven't even talked about anything like that, because I find like what you do so fascinating that I'm like, no, that that's not really part of it. I know we all kind of like anime, we all kind of like anime. We all really like it for the most part, right? It's an understatement. But has that side of the medium influenced a lot of what you do, as far as like, you wanted to do VTuber stuff maybe because you got into anime when you were younger, so like everything kind of clicked for you? Was that kind of the line that you followed?
I've always watched. I think my first experience with anime might have been Sailor Moon when it was still dubbed on TV.
The shoujos.
Ever since then, I've just loved anime, but I feel like I've never was like, I'm going to be a VTuber now kind of thing.
Right.
I think for me, it was just more so COVID, you're at home. I was very lucky to have a work from home situation, so I do have time on my hands. And then I was like, and I do kind of, I don't know if this is apparent right now, but I do have an anxiety problem, a social problem where I have trouble communicating with people sometimes, and then I get really shy and kind of like clam up and stuff. So I was like, maybe I can stream to maybe kind of force myself out of that like shell, like force myself to be in an uncomfortable situation. Because when you just start off, you're talking to 1 viewer, 0 viewers. You're lucky if you have 3. So essentially, you're talking to nobody. So I thought it might have been like good practice in that sense. So I never was like, yeah, VTubers. I'm going to be real. When I first saw VTubers, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had that reaction.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I like that. And then after, I was like, should I try streaming? And then I was definitely very uncomfortable with showing my face and stuff. So I was like, wait a minute. I remember checking out VTuber, this thing called VTubers a few months ago.
Makes sense now.
I was like, I can be an anime girl maybe, and that's how I kind of had the PNG and stuff and how.
But what I find interesting about what you just said is, do you think that streaming to 2,500 people, 3,000 people, whatever it is, right, which are insane numbers, behind the avatar has made it easier for you in social environments outside of your avatar?
No.
No?
I'm still the same person. No.
Yeah.
Like, I've met, I was very lucky to meet a fellow VTuber when she just decided to visit my city coincidentally. I'm like, yo, I can take care of you. I'll show you around. And then we ended up meeting up with a few other Torontonian VTubers as well. And I warned them. I was like, I'm pretty introverted. I may speak a lot and say a lot of out-of-pocket things on stream, but I am not that person IRL. Just be forewarned. And then when they meet me, they're like, yeah, you weren't kidding. Yeah, you're a wallflower. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry.
But I think that's pretty common in the creator community. A lot of creators that I have met are introverted, like making YouTube videos or streaming is their way of, I guess, communicating with other people in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I feel out of place at a lot of these events because I'm like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go grab a beer. Let's go hang out, go talk, go eat, whatever. Because I've always been that way, and I have to like tone it down sometimes. Where I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's cool, like if you don't want to go out, I totally get it. I will just go meet a random person at the bar instead. Like I get that. I think for me, YouTube has definitely turned it up to like an 11, where it used to be just like I would talk to everybody. Now it's even worse. I'm like, Paul, just shut up sometimes, Jesus Christ. Right. But I'm always like trying to think of ways of like how content has really helped people. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. Like, has it really helped you break out of your shell? And I wonder if it ever
not
will.
So much, but so virtually though, oh for sure. Like even virtually before, like Zoom meeting was the bane of my existence. I hated it. I hated Zoom meetings. But now it's just like, oh yeah, I can jump into a VC. I might not be at the most energetic streamer self, but we'll play a game. I'll watch a movie or whatever. I have realized I have opened up a lot, but when it comes to IRL, it's a whole different feeling and situation.
I see your tweets. I see you being super sus.
Oh, don't talk about my tweets right now. Do you want to get demonetized?
We're gonna. I know, right? We're gonna.
Paul, you're bringing trouble right to our Twitter stuff.
Oh yes, her Twitter is very very fun. Go follow. I wanted like okay, so this is another thing that I kind of wanted to go in on the anime side of it. 'Cause do you watch a lot of anime besides like Sailor Moon or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm curious if you have like a favorite food anime.
I like Nobu. That's my favorite food anime. The one where it's like
that's
isekai.
Like super chill. Yeah, isekai Nobu.
Yeah, what is it called? Isekai izakaya or something like that.
Yeah.
I love Nobu. Yeah, I feel like Shokugeki was obviously it's great, but like if season 4 comes in and their clothes are still exploding off their body, I'm just kind of like, okay,
no, they had
just
a
show me
power
the
up
food now.
Because this is so bad. Like my audience has told me about the lore. Like I guess that seasons 1 through 3 and through half of 4, the clothing was lost in their mind, so it's showing them having a special time. But then at the end of season 4, the Nakiri family, this is so bad that I know this, actually can cause people to lose their clothing. And I'm like, I can get behind that. Like I get that. I understand this. This has that's the image that you want happening when you feed someone.
It's true. But to Giri's point, it is true that like they started Food Wars with this like clothes exploding thing, which was super different for the time, and people were like, "What the heck?" But it didn't really escalate from there because they already were hitting like peak. You know what I mean? Once your clothes are exploding off and you have like died metaphorically, it can't get you can't get a bigger reaction than that. Which is
I think it comes to like what's the next element of fan service, right? Like that you'll get from that. But fan service that follows kind of the plot in a way. Like somebody's so hardened, you're never going to get them to like anything, and then their clothes come off. Right? And that happens. I guess in a way, like a lot of VTuber stuff has fan service behind it. So that's really interesting. Like now that I kind of tied the two together. But with the anime question, one of the things I had written down was, if you could cook for any character, who would it be?
It would be my husbando Inuyasha.
Dang, you went all the way to Inuyasha.
Oh, such a good pick. I
like the way you said that.
I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna hate me. I'm gonna be like a child.
That's such a good choice. No, dude, seriously, because he'll eat anything. Number one, and he loves ramen. Imagine you could make him like an actual bowl of ramen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Sailor Moon because I know that she'll just love anything that I could possibly cook, because that's such her character.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
I am emotionally married to Inuyasha. Talk
to me about your love for him, because I grew up with Inuyasha. I'm obsessed with that show and that series. So
I love a
Please.
bad boy image, and Inuyasha just hitting all the buttons. I love how he's like, he can't be controlled. He's hot-headed. He marches into everything, but he's actually really tsundere, and he actually really loves Kagome, but
He's
he
really
can't
a
show it
tsundere, yeah.
IRL.
That's- oh,
and
yeah,
then
that's it.
he's just like flying all over the place, and then he actually really, really cares about her, but then she's just like, oh, I'm scared to show it, And then he has like jealousy and everything, but he's actually really super strong and everything. And he has like the long hair and then like the animal ears and everything. And
You
I'm just
get
like,
it. You get it.
Oh, I like how
totally
excited you
get
got
it.
about that. Holy crap.
Dude.
That was the most excited I've ever
have
heard
to,
you.
Paul, have you not seen Inuyasha? Do you
Oh
not know
yeah,
what we're talking about?
I watched Inuyasha like on Cartoon Network during the era of who was it? Toonami and Tom.
Oh,
That's
I used
how
to record it. I used
Oh,
to
yeah.
set my like VCR at like 8
we
o'clock
had
at night.
VCRs.
Yeah,
We're all-
and I would
oh,
hit
God, we're all so
record,
old.
and it would record 12 hours, and I would fast forward to the one half an hour where they showed Inuyasha. Oh my god, I love that show.
Yeah.
It's so good.
No, I used to do that with Dragon Ball Z, and I would like run home from school after like lacrosse practice, pop the VHS in, wait for it to start, hit record, and then I knew like I literally had a stopwatch, be like, okay, commercial's coming, kick, and then pause it, and then let the
wow,
commercial
the good old
go, and
days.
then dude, it's so bad. I probably still have those VHSs somewhere. Like, it's Inuyasha is a great pick though. And then so
Yeah.
on the flip side, who would you absolutely hate to cook for? It could be. It doesn't have to be someone you hate. It's someone you like maybe find anxiety to like cook for, right? Like who would you be so nervous cooking for? Either anime, real life, anything.
oh, Uncle Roger?
Really? Okay. But it has to be Uncle Roger, not Nigel, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
has to
Uncle
be-
Roger. Yeah.
Okay. I think we should make that
That's
happen.
a good question.
Can
Paul,
we?
who would you not want to
Yeah.
cook for?
Oh, who would I not want to cook for?
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like if it were like an anime character, it would be Aizen. So not from Bleach, but it would be Nakiri's dad.
Oh,
Right?
Oh, okay.
Cause-
that
cause
was
he's-
mine.
Yeah,
because
because he's such like a stick in the mud.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like,
such a
bro, stop it. Eat the damn tacos and be happy about it and move on
Yeah.
with your life, right? Have a shot
Yeah.
of tequila, go home.
Yeah.
If it were, I think in real life, it would, man, I don't know who I would want to cook for. I'd say I'd like to cook with someone like Ramsey or cook for someone like Ramsey, but then I would troll him
They're scary
for fun.
though, right? That's why I
Right?
chose Uncle Roger. It's not because I don't
Like-
want to cook for him. I'm just so scared that he's gonna yell at me.
No,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
I would, but see, like I would try to cook for Ramsey, but only serve him crap from anime, right? And just like, but like as the most like beautiful thing he's ever seen, and he wouldn't know that it's from an anime, and be like, that's
Yeah.
from Food Wars, chef.
Yeah.
And then you'd call me a donkey and move on with your life and whatever. But yeah, I think that those would be my two picks, which are kind of similar in a lot of ways. I feel like Aizen was basically Food Wars Ramsey, or was Hell's Kitchen
Yeah.
Ramsey in a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
Yeah. He's
How
my
about you,
pick.
Emily?
I would not want to cook for him. I just people who okay, it's an interesting balance because when I cook for people, I like it when they can tell me, "Oh, this is so good. This is the best thing I've ever had." Blah blah blah. Like I love how you put the grapes with the cheese or whatever. But I feel like he would take it to a place where it's just mean and not fun and like not complimentary, right? Like if I mess something up, I don't necessarily want you to tell me about it. I just want you to pretend like, oh, this other thing is like so good and we're just not going to talk about that one thing.
Yeah, because I think
yeah.
I thrive on feedback. I don't know about you guys, but like I like having my food torn apart. It does suck, but then I'm like, okay, that means I can
Makes
make
you
it better.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
make it
yeah.
better. I can cook better.
Yeah.
I can do whatever it is. Because I know that Geary, whenever you cook on stream, you do let Oni Bro try pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, everything.
So, but I know you said you haven't repeated anything on stream. Have you repeated any of those foods off stream to like make something better or try it again?
Only for the ones where I guess it doesn't take like 3 hours to slow
Yeah.
cook kind of
Right,
thing. Because
right.
with streaming, I don't have that much time anymore. But if it's like a carbonara, for example, I did retry it once again because I'm infamously known as the one who made scrambled egg carbonara.
Yep.
Oh God.
It was during a collab,
no.
and then our like ongoing joke with the friend that came on to teach me that, it was like, oh, Gary, grandma's so senile, can't make carbonara. I was like, well, you didn't give me good instructions, blah blah blah, whatever, right? We just take jabs at each other, but regardless, I did end up making scrambled egg carbonara on stream. Very unfortunate, but I actually did try it. I did retry recently. Still scrambly. Still a little bit scrambly. A little less scrambly.
Totally
but,
it's just there's just eggs in your pasta. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a big deal. That's how I always say. You know, I'm like, did you eat it?
Yeah.
Yes. Then it wasn't a waste.
Yeah.
Right. You still had dinner. Like I think
It's good practice.
that is one interesting thing, because I know that like with YouTube, a lot of YouTube channels that are cooking will not show mistakes, right? But on stream, you kind of don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's something
that's the
powerful
good
behind
part.
that.
Yeah, I think that's the good part, because honestly, when I was doing a lot of, like back in the day, like 3 years ago, something like that, I was doing a lot of like cooking content, like a tutorial, like how to make this food from this anime or whatever. And it used to actually, I got really burnt out on filming those videos, because it would be so stressful to me, because I didn't have time to practice off camera. So every time I filmed a tutorial, I was filming it for the first time ever that I'd ever made it. And sometimes there are just like inevitable mistakes that you make, and I would have to try to cut around them, and it would cause me so much anxiety, because I felt like I had to present this like perfect recipe, that I really got burnt out. And that's why I was really excited to move on to do the cookbook that I was working on, because in that medium you can test it as much as you want before you put your final recipe in the book and your final instructions and stuff. But like a stream just feels so much more natural, like, oh, I messed up, and that happens to everyone, no matter your level. And I like that authenticity behind it.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Gary? Like, does your community like embrace that aspect of it, like the fails and stuff like that?
Oh, they love embracing my.
They love the good fails.
They love embracing my fail. What are you even talking about? They love it when I've messed up.
You know my chat. Yeah.
But no, my chat actually has been very kind, because I have I actually enjoy making things for the first time on stream.
Same.
I might be a
same.
masochist. There might be something wrong with me, but a lot of times I just want, because I just want to experiment, and I just don't have the time to experiment off stream, and I feel like it kind of takes away like the first response, I guess, or like the organic, like, oh, I did great, or I did terribly. It doesn't even matter. Like, but it's just kind of like an experimentation with chat. And for my chat, because they already kind of know I'm a cooking VTuber, they like to help. I like to ask for their help. I like to ask for their opinion. I'm very open to backseating, even when it comes to cooking. And they're very respectful of that space. Like, they might be like, oh, bully Giri, ha ha ha, but they will never overstep when it comes to oversharing or backseating. So they're usually I would just ask, like, oh, am I doing this wrong, guys? What do you think? What's going on here? Any Mexicans in the chat? Any Filipinos in the chat? Anybody from Indonesia right now that can help me out? And then they will be very eager to represent their country, represent like their background and stuff. And then I learned from that. So a lot of and there were definitely, because I do turn my streams into YouTube videos. So when I first started streaming, obviously it's dishes that I'm well versed in, things that I've cooked for myself over and over again. But eventually you do run out of like those kind of dishes. That's why I'm like, I'll experiment. I'll try something new. Things I want to try eating I haven't made before. And then when those turn into videos, I always get nervous, because like, oh, it's not the beautiful dish. There's like something wrong with it. The fish is too big. The sauce is incorrect. But I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. My outro is like, sorry, didn't turn out well, chat, but it'll be better next time. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think as creators, it kind of shows like that more human side, right? Where I think we need to kind of move away from that like perfect day or vision or what. Like, yes, there are some things you want to look up on, like how I don't know, replace a pipe or something like that. You want to know how to do that correctly. But it's even for me, when I do food videos, I never practice anything. I'm like, nope, we're recording this video today. Whatever happens. If I make a mistake, I show it, and maybe I remake it for that during that video. I'm like, nope, I messed up. I have to go again. But what I found is that it makes more of like that connection with your audience, because you're watching someone. I guess like in my case, I've been cooking my whole life, and it's like if this guy makes a mistake, it's 100% okay for me to make a mistake, and like try to foster that feeling.
Yeah, mistakes are relatable. People identify with that, and they like it. They like it when you also can have the humility to be like, oh, I made a mistake. Sorry, guys. Like, let's fix it right now. Like, let's work on it, because that's human. That's what people do in real life. You know, nobody is perfect ever, and I think in a lot of ways that's where internet culture has changed over the past couple of years. It's gone from very much like this content creator has to be perfect. They have to be the expert in this. They have to be able to, you know, embody all of these things that we think a star or like a person in charge should have, and just be more relatable and more like accessible. And I'm very happy to see that that's where things are going, because I think there's like definitely a generation of people who got really like burnt out and anxious about being online, because there was that pressure of like, oh, if I'm gonna be behind a camera and speaking into an expensive microphone or whatever, I have to sound and look and whatever perfect, and that's just unsustainable in the long run.
I guess that's also a benefit of being a VTuber, right? You throw on your blue suit, you just like start going.
Yeah,
right?
no, the benefit of that, as for streaming in general, is as like mistakes is content. Chaos is content. That's why now I don't fear messing up, and I actually somehow, to some extent, welcome it. Like when I have friends on, they're like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to cook." I'm great. Even better.
Great, perfect. Yeah.
please teach me how to cook, because it's content, right? And that's what we are. We're content creators. We're not. Well, I mean, for me, I'm not a chef. I'm not trained. I'm a streamer. Number one, I'm a streamer. I'm a content creator. So if I create content, at the end of the day, that's fine.
That's what you're looking for. Yeah.
I love that. So on that content creator note, what do you really want to do next that is within streaming, YouTube, whatever it is? What's one thing that's just been like racking your brain of like, I need to do this, that you can talk about?
Okay. Well, I don't want to expose too much, but I would love to go 3D.
That's gonna be the thumbnail. Geary exposed.
I want to go 3D, not just my body, but
everything.
We'll
talk.
I was like,
I have some thoughts. I follow the virtual reality community pretty tightly. I invest in VR stuff. I don't know if that's the direction you're going, but 3D Geary sounds amazing. And we're talking about like
more than just VR. It's like not going to be
Code
VR
Nico?
chat. Pardon
like
me.
Code Nico stuff.
Code Nico.
Nico, is it Nico?
I think similar, but not quite. And then also, as far as like content goes, I would love to do maybe like real life shokugekis where I can like maybe rent out like a warehouse or something and actually fly friends over and have like when the technology is there, or maybe only bro can think of something, you know, where he can like track all the VTubers and stuff. Yeah, and then like we can have like a fun shokugeki type of thing. I think that would be really cool to like film or stream, but that's in the future. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a fun project.
I used to do shokugekis on my channel. I only did like 3 ever because they were really, really hard to produce in my little apartment with one camera. But they're so fun, and there's so much that you can do with them. I think I did once like we did a shokugeki of like food that you would make if you were trying to survive the world of Attack on Titan, and it got like really specific. We went out and got like, I made human meat, which is weirdly
Tartar.
something that I and my other friend was like, I'm gonna pretend like my horse died and I gotta make a steak, and she just cooked a steak, and it was just so fun. There's so much you can do with it, and it's always a good time.
Yeah,
I love that. I love seeing creators kind of reaching outside of the box to create more content and like more new exciting things. But I think that's kind of a good place to kind of just wrap it up. So Geary, do you have anything you want to say to the people? I mean, where can people find you? Everything will be down below in the description and everything too. But just if you just want to say hi to the FoodTaku community.
Hi, FoodTaku community. My name is Geary. That's it.
I can. Should I help? Are you gonna? Did I put you on the spot?
No. Like even when friends ask me to introduce myself on like collabs, I'm like, yeah, I'm Geary. That's it.
Perfect.
Period. End of story. You don't need to know anymore.
I love it.
But I think as far as handles go, like Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, I think they're all Onigiri EN. Like they're all the same everywhere. So it should be quite easy to find. But yeah, that's about it. I stream on Twitch for the most part. I upload my cooking videos and stuff on YouTube. There's little clips on TikTok. Yeah, that's it.
Just everywhere.
Everywhere. All the time.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm a being that exists on all platforms.
Yeah, our omnipotent overlord, our omnipotent cooking
Our
overlord.
VTuber overlords. Yeah, that's exactly. It's going to be like Ready Player One, but it's a bunch of VTubers attacking us, right? I'm ready for it. Just bring it on. But yeah, guys, if you want to find Giri, she's going to be down below in the description at all of the links for everything that is onigiri. Just type in onigiri on Google too, you'll probably find it, and it probably won't be Rice. It'll probably be her. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this week's FoodTaku podcast. You guys can find us on all the socials down below, as well as all of your favorite streaming services. And Giri, thank you so much for being here. It was a blast. Always love chatting with you. And guys, we'll see you in the next one.
Yay! Bye bye.